It's the JT the Brick Show.
This is the silver and black. This is the Raiders. This is a historic franchise. This is no ordinary job.
Your silver and black home to sound off for over 25 years.
I don't care if I offend somebody. If it isn't right, I'm going to stop practice. We're going to do it the right way.
And now, here's JT the Brick.
And at the gate, JT on a Modelo Friday, Ari. Modelo. I reward myself with a bucket of Modelos every Friday, but it'll have to wait because tonight I'll be the MC for the Max Crosby Foundation Gala at Allegiant Stadium. So I can't go into that on a bucket of Modelos in the pool. Going over my script for tonight. Head coach will be there, the owner will be there, the president will be there, some players from Max and Rachel Crosby as they raise a lot of money for several different foundations out there. How cool is that? And it's really deep, and that's the focus of the monologue, obviously brought to you by our partner here at Modelo as we open it up. What would have happened if Max wasn't here? What would happen if Max was traded to Baltimore? I still think he would have had this night tonight, but it would have been his goodbye. It would have been him coming back, saying not goodbye forever to Vegas. Of course not, but he would have been gone. Member of the Baltimore Ravens, and that would have been it. And now tonight, his feet on the ground with his wife, Rachel. He will do some incredible things tonight. I can't tell you who's getting these checks because some people will be surprised, but it's a big number because of Max Crosby. So whatever you think of Max, he drops some albums. He likes to play hoops. He likes his cigars. He loves UFC. He was just at the White House. I don't know how anybody would criticize anybody who likes UFC for going to a UFC event. It happened to be on the lawn of the White House. He was front row. He does a lot. But he's still here. And I've been on the journey with him from Oakland, day one till now. And I was one of the last people with him right before he was traded. And the last time we really had a chance to sit down with Max was at the Commitment to Excellence Awards, which he won again. I think he's won it 5 times in a row. And that night, I sat down with Max and Rachel, my wife and I, and we had dinner, and we were talking, and it was, the rumors were something's going down, maybe with Max, and then he was traded and he came back. And what's so crazy about that journey is part of that journey, and it had nothing to do with Max, was, remember Diana Rossini? She was chirping a lot about him going. Oh, really? I was the expert on that topic, not Diana Rossini. I worked for the Raiders. I'm friends with Max. I think I knew more than NFL insider Jeremy Fowler or Diana Rossini. And Ari, by the end of the show today, if we can call Kinko's and print me out a card that says JT NFL Insiders, I'm one. I've been doing this 30 years. I had more information on Max, and Max was gone because the insiders, some were right, some were wrong. And that goes back to Diana Rossini, who's in the news today because we found out she makes $800,000 before she was terminated, which isn't a lot of money for someone who does a job that big. Come on, it's $800,000. Yeah, that's what NFL insiders make. Adam Schefter and Ian Rappaport make a lot more than that, a lot more, and other people. So the Max journey is going to be interesting tonight as I get up and down from the stage and I watch the room. My wife and son will be with me. And I'm just going to take it all in, and I'll tell you about it on Tuesday when I'm back here because it's weird. It's bizarre. There's no other player in the NFL going through what he's going through. I mean, Myles Garrett was traded from Cleveland. He got his get-out-of-jail-free card from Cleveland, and he goes to the Rams. That's interesting, but the Rams didn't back out of the deal, and then he goes back to Cleveland. That's what happened with Max, and Max is in the same room when it comes to skill set of Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett's more decorated for being the Defensive Player of the Year multiple times and his achievements, but Max is right there with him. So tonight, the Max Crosby Foundation. If you got something you'd like to say on Max, today would be a good day to call in. Because the event's tonight, and I'll be back on Tuesday. I'm going to the World Cup in L.A., Wheels Up tomorrow after this event tonight. And I'll be there at SoFi Stadium. As I told people, and I'm dead serious, I'm going to put a curse, a hex, on SoFi Stadium when I'm there. Before I leave, I will do the Voodoo Boogaloo. I will walk through the concourse, and I'll do the JT fingers thing. I'll point at it, and I'll just go crazy, hopefully putting a hex on SoFi. Something's got to give, man. We can't win in that building. We got to win this year. We play the Chargers week 2, where I believe we'll be 1-0. We, Raider Nation, will be 1-0 after beating Miami. We're going to beat Miami, right? That guy Malik Willis is the quarterback for Miami. I mean, I've seen, Lamar Jackson come in to this stadium and lose. I've seen some good quarterbacks lose in our building. We ain't losing a Malik Willis, right? I hope not. That would not be the start. And looking forward to seeing Clint Kubiak tonight as the head coach of the Raiders, as he'll be one of the dignitaries there tonight, along with Mark Davis and Sandra Douglas Morgan. So what we're doing here today is a little mix and match. I'm going to replay my interview with Phil Villapiano sometime late in the show. I talked to Phil yesterday. The book is selling. It's pre-ordering well, and he asked for another push. And I said, you better believe it. We'll give you another push. So, Fu, a little bit later on in the show, I'll dive in to some of the World Cup. Paul Gutierrez has sat down with Eric Allen, my radio partner, Eric Allen. It was good. And I told Ari, let's queue up about 6 or 7 minutes of that because I want you to hear what Eric Allen had to say about where the team is now. I'm not going to interview Eric today. I'm going to give him the day off. He's in Point Loma, San Diego, probably playing golf. He's learned how to play golf. He's actually getting pretty good. So we'll be hearing a lot of EA on this show this year. So I'm excited about that. And then Monday, I was with Fernando Mendoza. 31 rookies showed up at the Raiders draft class luncheon, which was really cool. Everybody had a good time there. And Fernando now, I think, Fernando's off. Everybody's off. Anybody who's in the buildings, they're voluntary. Everybody's on vacation. They're getting their trips in. They're going and taking their wives or partners somewhere, girlfriends, to Cabo or to Maui or to do that. Still do your sit-ups, guys. Still eat well. Get ready because this camp is going to be rough. And this camp is going to be tough because of the all-ball coach that we have in Clint Kubiak. I've been telling you a little bit about my private conversations with Fred Biletnikoff and what I could share. And I talked to Freddie the other day, and he's like, I'm coming back for training camp. I'm like, ooh, that's a big update. He goes, yeah, I really like what I'm seeing. Fred Biletnikoff. Not that I'm talking about other coaches who were there, but Freddie wasn't coming back at the level he's coming back now because he's seeing something that he's wanted to see. He's seeing all ball. All ball. No high fives, no yelling and screaming. Show up and play. And that's what this team is doing this offseason. They are buttoned up. They are using a different model than Pete Carroll, Josh McDaniels, Antonio Pierce had. They all had their plans. It didn't work. It didn't work. Some like to jump through hoops, play basketball, swim, have days out, go here and that. It's all out. This is Clint Kubiak's show now. He's all ball. And he's instructed his coaches to really coach and teach. I think that's what I was most surprised last year with the Pete Carroll era coming to an abrupt end so quickly was there wasn't a lot of great teaching going on. There was a lot of competition. I mean, they printed up T-shirts, competition with Pete across. They were competing. No doubt about it, Pete Carroll made them compete. So much so that no one knew if they were going to play or not. No one knew. No one had an idea. Are you playing? No. Are you playing? No, I'm going to lift weights. Are you playing? I don't know. They didn't tell me if I'm. What do you mean? It's Thursday. Are you starting Sunday? No one knows. It was kind of like, I don't want to call it politics. It was coach's style. Pete Carroll, a Hall of Fame probably coach, that's the way he did it. That everybody's going to compete. We're going to look at the tape of practice. And if you had a good practice, you are competing better and you have a better chance to start. But a lot of guys on the offensive line didn't even know what position they were playing. How the hell did that happen? Well, the low-hanging fruit is you could go at Pete Carroll's son, Brendan Carroll, which would be fair. He was way in over his head as an offensive line coach. Sorry I couldn't say that in my weekly television show with Pete Carroll and rip his son like some trolls wanted me to do. But we know they all got fired, so we knew where that was going. But they have a much better offensive line coach now, much better coaching overall. And there's an aspect from what I'm hearing and seeing in limited views at practice of teaching and how to position this team because this playbook is, I think, pretty well known. What's interesting about this playbook with Clint Kubiak is that everybody has a specific role, and they don't know when they're getting called on, so you better know your playbook. Like, I would say, when I see what Clint Kubiak's doing and what he's done in Minnesota and what he did in the 49er tree and what he did in New Orleans for a little bit before Derek Carr got hurt, is the ball comes out very quickly, on time, quickly. And it's very much like the Tom Brady process, which I really enjoyed at New England, which was led by Josh McDaniels, who wasn't a good head coach but a brilliant coordinator, was that Brady would go to the line of scrimmage. Brady would go to the line of scrimmage, and he would know what to do instantly because he was so far ahead of the defense. And that's exactly what Sam Darnold did last year. If you look back at tape, I know you watched the Super Bowl. I know you watched the NFC Championship game. Sam Darnold broke the huddle with the 2 running back set, like we have now in Las Vegas, heavy run themes to the tight end, and then they had Jackson Smith and Jigba, who's just a brilliant player. The best player on offense, arguably, in the sport last year, and they knew when to isolate him and go to him. Well, the problem is we don't have a Jackson Smith and Jigba on this team. Jalen Naylor could end up being pretty good. Trey's a pretty good player. He's a deep threat. But this is not, Justin Jefferson here. This isn't Jamar Chase. This isn't a guy going wide to the sideline where everybody on defense is like, holy crap, get a safety over the top and get a linebacker there and keep an eye on him. We don't have that here. But we don't know. We might. We might have that Naylor. Naylor could be a 90-reception guy. This could be his moment. He plays with Kubiak. He's got Brock Bowers being doubled. I don't think a lot of teams are scared of him. So he could jump in and all of a sudden, boom, he's the guy who's getting 11 receptions, 9 receptions in a game. And we're saying, look, pretty good signing, right? They brought him in because they knew he could break out under the system here with Kirk Cousins. Now, I've spent a couple of days on the Kirk Cousins train, and I'm not going to do much of it until July. End of July, I would say almost into early August. We're going to come in here in early August, so we're not even in July yet. And it's going to be a practice that I'm out at 7:30 in the morning, and Cousins is going to practice ahead of Mendoza and Aiden, and he's going to throw a pick. And everybody's going to put it on film. And everyone, all the insiders are going to be there doing their job saying Cousins just threw a pick. And then you and the Raider Nation are going to start to get stirred up. You're going to say, wait a second, he threw a pick in practice? Yeah, pick in practice, no big deal. I want to see Fernando. We're not going there yet. We are not jumping on that train now. This is Kirk Cousins' job to lose. And in sports, there's a lot of people that have jobs to lose. If you're a really good player in the NBA, you're entitled. You're entitled, and you got this massive contract for, like Trae Young got a contract for $212 million. Trae Young. I mean, he's not going to lose his job in D.C. There's no other point guard that's going to take his minutes. But with the Raiders right now, there's a chance that Kirk Cousins could end up losing his job if he doesn't practice well in the preseason in a camp. I don't see that happening because I think that Cousins is going to be really, really good, really electric. He's going to be fantastic with this playbook. So there's not going to be any mistakes. There's not going to be, oh, my God, he didn't know where someone was. No, he knows this playbook as good as Clint Kubiak. He's already done it. He's done the master class of this playbook, and Fernando is just learning it, right? At this time, Fernando was going into his senior year at Indiana on the way to win the Heisman Trophy and a national championship. He didn't know any of the concepts of Clint Kubiak and his playbook. So I really think Cousins, as Big D says here in our chat, you're in our YouTube chat today. You can see I'm wearing an Eric Allen Hall of Fame hat and a Rolling Stone shirt. You would not know that unless you're in our YouTube video, which is at JT the Brick YT. It's free. You should download it. You can even have it in your car on your phone as you get the YouTube alerts. But as Big D said, Cousins could be the second coming of Rich Gannon. Ooh, I got to push back on that. No, Cousins is not. Rich Gannon was an MVP. Rich Gannon was an MVP. Kirk Cousins isn't going to be an MVP. He's not going to be the MVP of the NFL. Rich Gannon was, and Rich Gannon could have did it twice. Rich Gannon played MVP football here. I don't think that, as Big D said, it's a question. Could Cousins be the second coming? Thank you, Big D. I said, is he? No, you're right. It's a question. I don't think that will happen. I think Cousins will play great. I think Cousins will play 3 or 4 games, and then they're going to reevaluate him and either put Fernando in or say, Kirk, you're winning games or you're close to winning games. We aren't touching you. We're just going to leave you right there. So that's what we're doing as we're opening up the show. If you want to get in, you can get in here very quickly. 702-365. 9200 is the number. 702-365-9200 is the number. We are talking about an array of topics today. It's going to be basically the World Cup, the Raiders. Last night, shout out, they're not a partner of ours, but we do have a partner inside Durango. I went to Durango last night to watch the World Cup over in their sports book, The George, which is really cool. And that was a really interesting soccer watch party that I participated in last night. It was really good. And a lot of people are watching soccer, but they're wearing different jerseys. There was a lot of Mexican soccer fans there with Mexico jerseys. I saw the Denmark jerseys. I saw USA jerseys. I saw a guy with an England jersey on. And I think the big story that's surrounding sports now is that the rest of the world is coming to the United States and really enjoying our soil. They're really enjoying our bars, our transportation, everything. And I think the United States has opened up our arms and our hearts to these World Cup soccer fans who are coming in and just embracing us. So this is really cool. I think this is a big lightning rod moment for American sports. I truly believe this. This is a moment, and if you go back to the Women's World Cup that we had here, which was pretty good with America winning, if you look at the success that we've had in this country in sports, that would be the Super Bowl, the NBA, the Daytona 500, the Masters at Augusta, UFC, world headquarters in Vegas, right? Major League Baseball. None of this compares to the World Cup. None of it. All of our sports in the United States does not compare to the World Cup. I've been preaching that and trying to engage people in understanding that. And there's two groups. There's groups that are saying, it sucks, I don't watch it, it's too boring. So we'll leave them alone. We'll leave them out. They're not invited to our bars. They're not drinking with us at the bars. We don't want them in the bars, and we don't want them with us. They're negative Nellies. We don't want to hang out with them. And then there's other people who are saying, wow, I didn't realize it was this big. What do I need to do to get involved? You don't need to do anything. All you got to do is show up and get yourself a beverage and jump in and watch. And that's what these European and global soccer fans are teaching us. They're into it more than us. They show up, the Japanese fans, show up at the games with trash bags. They take their trash bags out with 10 minutes to go in the game.
Love that.
And they start cleaning up the stadiums. I'm like, wait a second, what is that? And then we see these Dutch fans, as they take over, they do this row, where they're chanting and doing the row. And they're taking over the bleachers at baseball stadiums in Chicago and Boston. And they're doing a road chant, and everybody in the baseball stadium's like, I want to go. Let's move our seats. I want to go sit in the outfield with those lunatics. And then you have the Scottish fans who are drinking every bar out of all their beer. Drinking everything they can get their hands on. So a quick story here that's kind of fun. Back in the day, a buddy of mine, I learned about soccer from an English soccer hooligan. So I lived in San Diego, and a guy that I met doing business was a former English soccer hooligan. So he went to jail. He got into fights. He taught me all the songs. He taught me the history. And I worked with him. He was kind of like when I was a stockbroker and then went into real estate for a cup of coffee. He was one of the guys that I'd go to lunch with. And he told me about the Scotland fans in the 70s. You know, when Scotland played in the 70s, they were so notorious, they're hooligans, that they would go to a city like in Italy, or they'd go to a city in Europe, and they'd pay to go, and they'd have money, and as soon as they got there, they drank all their money. They had no more money. And the only way, Ari, they could get home to Scotland was to get arrested. True story. So the only way they could get home, because they had no money, they spent all their money on the game and drinking and shenanigans, they would get into fights and be hooligans in bars, and they'd get deported back home. They'd be sent home, and that's how they would return home to their kids and wives and families.
Brilliant.
This is pretty crazy what the culture is of some of these soccer fans. But the Japanese people, so respectful and honorable. Yes, thank you. They've been incredible, and there hasn't been a lot of hooliganism here in the United States. I think our police don't put up with what some of the police in Europe put up with. They're used to it. They're used to it in France, in London. When there's a little bit of that, we don't put up for that here. And everybody's been having a really good time. So if you have embraced the World Cup, we'd like to take your World Cup calls. Where are you watching the games? What are you doing with the U.S.? Are you totally into the U.S.? If not, who's your second team? My second team is England. I root for England because I'm more familiar with their players. I'm going to go see Canada. I will root for Canada Sunday with my young son as we go there. I'll root for Canada more than South Africa, but I went to international rugby here in Vegas, and the South Africans who came, they were unbelievable. They were dancing and singing and having a great old time. But I'll root for our brothers to the north, the Canadians, because that's the home of Rush, my favorite band. So it'll be. I was thinking about wearing a Rush shirt to the World Cup. My wife said, stop. She got me a generic World Cup shirt that I'll be wearing there on Sunday. So wheels up. I'm heading to L.A. Max Crosby's events tonight. We're honoring Max Crosby today. Could have got him on, not bothering him. He's down at Allegiant Stadium. They're setting up this where I do the pregame show at the Torch. That's where Max is having his event tonight. So hopefully we'll get a couple of Raider fans to thank Max Crosby for what he's doing with this foundation, because we need more players doing that in this city. We do. I think we will. Fernando Mendoza is going to make a boatload of money. A boatload of money. I'm sure he's going to have a foundation. Several other players in the Raider organizations have charities that they're connected with, but I don't think any at the extent of what Max does. So hopefully Max and what he's able to do along the way, Max can mentor some of the younger players there, not only in the weight room and on the practice field, but mentor them in regards to getting into philanthropy and giving back to the community, because that's what he's doing. 2-0 France over Norway. Norway kind of shut it down. They knew they weren't going to win this game, and they're already passed through. So France, with their second goal, France, a heavy favorite to win the World Cup, so they are up 2-0 live in Boston. They are playing at Foxborough. That looks fantastic. Speaking of Foxborough, last year the Raiders opened up in Foxborough, and Thor from the RaiderNation Drinking Club was there. And Thor is putting together a Raiders road trip that I have committed to. I am a part of it this year in New York as the Raiders take on the Jets. Thor, good to hear from you. Tell us about the road trip.
JT, what's happening, brother? Oh, I'm so fired up and so ready. I know we're still, a good 3-4 months away from that. No, Halloween weekend in New York is going to be insane. I know I was looking at the schedule earlier. 5 of the places we play out this year I've been to, and I've been to a few of them multiple times, and New York is one. New York is my main road trip to go on. Peter Dillon's, the Raider Bar out there in Manhattan, will be having events. The fans out there, from the Rochester people all the way to the Staten Island people to the Peter Dillon's, the New England RaiderNation will be out there doing events. It'll be Raider events. Carmine, the vice president of Peter Dillon's, put together. He bought 220 tickets.
Whoa. Wait a second. 220 tickets? How'd he pull that off? I love Carmine.
He paid over $33,000. Put up the money. He sold them all within a week. Had them all the money in. He bought 200 originally. Got all the $33,000 back, went out and was able to get 20 more through so we're going to be out there. They have 4 buses going from Peter Dillon's that we're going on. The tickets sold out in like a week. Okay. So we're going to be deep. We're going to go out there. We're going to represent Raider Nation like we always do. In a positive way, in a loud way, in an excited way, and we want to have fun and have a good time. Part of road trips is going and experiencing new things. I've been lucky enough to take a few people, and I'm going to do it again this trip. Take some people on their first time ever to New York, and show them around real New York. Not do all the touristy nonsense. That's cool. That's cool to do if that's what you want to do. But we want to, go out and do real stuff with the people, have a good time, and represent where you're from, represent the Raiders, and represent them properly. Okay. Like, honestly, when you're out there, buy someone a beer. You know what I'm saying? Like, be right, have a great time, but let's go out and win, too. Let's go out and beat the Jets. JT, I'm so ready for football, baby. Let's go, man.
Thank you, Thor.
Let's
Thanks
go.
for starting me off on a Friday. I told Ari the phones work today. He unlocked them. Now they're unlocked, so you can call in at 702-365-9200. Wow, Carmine's a big supporter of the Raiders and the Biletnikoff Foundation and bought 240 tickets. Woo! What are the Jets doing selling 240 tickets to RaiderNation? That's what happens. You can't sleep. You want to go. So that's the road trip I plan on being on this year. And pretty emotional today. So I'm pretty emotional today. I wanted to share with everybody my youngest sister's son, CJ, who's my nephew, just had his first, he and his wife, Natalie, just had their first baby today. Baby was just born a few hours ago. The baby came early. My mom and dad are great grandparents today. So I'm pretty emotional today. I'm really emotional today because of that, and pretty heavy. I wish I could be back there to welcome this young boy. And again, my oldest son was born very prematurely and is now 6'3" and a monster. So premature babies come. And today with these unbelievable NICU nurses and all the great doctors, I'm saying heavy prayers today. But, yeah, it's a big deal. It's a big deal for my sister. My youngest sister's a grandmother today, which is heavy for me because, I love my sisters, and this is pretty big. My nephew is my dad. This is his oldest grandson. He has 7 grandkids, 5 grandsons, including my 2. And this is the first baby now in this generation of my family. So heavy day today, and real heavy. And I'm really excited and saying a lot of prayers. And, it's great. It's good news, but, when you hear news like that, when you got a baby coming in a month or so from now and it comes, I went through that. I went through that with my oldest son. His due date was July 2nd, and he was born May 24th. And he was born on my dad's birthday. So my dad and my son have the same birthday, arguably the greatest day of my life, with both my sons being born. But I know what it's like when you're not expecting to have a baby come anytime soon, and then you do. And it's all hands on deck. And that's what's happening back home with my family. And so that's where my head's at today. But good news, a good blessing, and everything seems to be okay. And I'm excited about the newest member of our family. All right, we're going to be wide open. I'm going to stream here live for an hour. Next hour, you'll hear my replay of Phil Villapiano, more on the World Cup. A lot of other exciting news going down. Max Crosby's events tonight. Had a good book-in week. Monday was the Raiders draft class luncheon with 31 rookies that I emceed. And tonight, I'm emceeing this. And emceeing the auction is going to be Chet Buchanan, who's one of the great radio icons in this town. So big night for Max. Let's get some Max vibe going today.
Welcome back to the JT the Brick Show, brought to you by The Black Hole. Become a member of football's most notorious fans.
I've got no problem with the loss. As Jurgen said, you'd rather not lose, and if you did, group stage. There's circumstances to this, but it's the way you go about it that I don't think this team was set up in the right way to compete. And once changes came about, the team battled, did what they needed to do. They had a very good comeback. You'd like to see them close it out, not give it up in the final 30 seconds.
Hercules Gomez from ESPN Soccer on the USA Lost. JT back with you, brought to you by The Black Hole. Are you a member? You should be. The Black Hole, which I'm a member of, we welcome you to become a member. Go to theblackhole.com for all the details. The president of The Black Hole, kind enough to join me, Mark Jones, our proud partner. Man, you got a couple of things to announce here, man. You're always looking to the future in this home opener weekend, man. What should we all be excited about here?
Well, I don't know if anyone's busier than you. I saw you on Monday at the draft class luncheon also, and then you're hosting tonight too. And we will be there tonight at Black Hole. We'll be there with a table to support Max Crosby and what he's doing with this foundation, which is incredible. But yeah, we just finally got everyone's sign off here for home opener party on Saturday. We're putting together right now. Fan Appreciation Weekend is in full effect for the home opener, and as you know, our founder, this was his favorite event of the year, was the home opener. So, for a lot of fans, this is the only game that they get to come to all year. So we started doing Fan Appreciation Weekend, which starts on Friday down at Fremont Street with our friends down at Fremont Street Experience. So we'll be taking over that First Street stage, and our friends at the Golden Nugget have been kind enough to give us a Troy bar for that. So that Friday night's going to be awesome. That's a free event for all fans, all ages. Come out and have some fellowship. have some ice cold Modelo's. We'll have some drink specials for that, for Bandera Tequila. Lots of great entertainment going on that First Street stage. MC Raider's going to host all these events, JT, this whole weekend for us. So it'll be fun, a little comedy, a little music, a little fun. So just trying to, just turn it up another level here for this year. But, yeah, we're really looking forward to it.
Yeah, and Cliff Atkinson, longtime friend, and down there at Fremont Street with the experience. They're very Raider Black Hole friendly down there. So as a lot of people are wondering, where do we go? You send them down to Fremont Street. You get everybody there. I know you have other events that are happening around town, but that's an important event, kickoff weekend, because it sets the tone for the season, as I know you want better fans, more members of the Black Hole. It feels like, and the Black Hole has been around a long time, but it feels like everybody understands with Mendoza, the new head coach, it's go time, and the Black Hole wants to lead.
Yeah, we're trying to do it pretty big this year. The Palms has been another great partner for us also, and when they came to us and said, "Hey, why don't we do the home opener party where the Raiders have their draft party and take over that entire pool deck and have some great headliners?" We were like, "That sounds great." And so we're going to have Warren G and Too Short as our headliners out there on Saturday night, and we've been able to really work with these guys to make it accessible for everybody. This is going to be an all-age event at Palms, out on the pool deck. They're going to have the pool open also, so if people want to get in the pool, if you have kids that you're bringing out, they want to get in the pool, it's going to be a beautiful night out under the stars, a lot of music, a lot of fun. We got a whole bunch of giveaway stuff that we're doing, and we'll be announcing some other opening acts and stuff for that too, but Warren G and Too Short.
Wow.
And for Black Hole members, you should have got an email yesterday, and with a link to get tickets right now. So members get tickets starting right now, and tickets are only $35, if you can believe that. So we're able to leverage everybody to get these down. So it's $35. They're going to be available at access.com there, that ticket exchange. And then next Friday, it will go on sale to the general public, and it'll be $45. So if you're a Black Hole member, you're going to save $10. You got a link right now. You can reserve cabanas there, everything else. But we just want to give members first opportunity, to kind of get in, because, again, we really, really appreciate all our members. This is why we're able to do these types of things, have these free events down on Fremont Street on Friday. It's all because of all the clubs and all of our members, that participate in what we're doing to, really roll out the red carpet when fans come to town, because it's expensive to come to a game.
Yeah.
So we want to make sure everyone's having a great time.
Mark Jones joins us, the president of the Black Hole, and his vision is incredible, going back to Rob Rivera, who was like a brother to me, and Rob passed away, and Mark and the whole team and everyone who's in the Black Hole. I see here in the chat, Cisco, all of our other friends. This is an opportunity to become a member of the Black Hole, and sometimes fan bases don't want people to be members. It's exclusive. This is an exclusive, notorious, legendary fan base that you're welcoming people to become new members. What's the easiest way for them to do that?
Just go to thebblackhole.com, and there's a couple different opportunities to choose from there. But again, that's just the savings on the hotel rooms for home opener weekend. We have the lowest prices at the Golden Nugget. There's no parking. There's no resort fees, plus their lowest rate. So, you're really saving on that, plus the ticket stuff. So we're trying to, leverage our numbers and, and keep the prices down for fans coming to town. But again, this is for all fans, all clubs, all ages. We want to rally Raider Nation, and we want to basically throw a haymaker here for home opener and do something really, really big. The March to Victory will be Sunday. That'll be our first one. Violator is going to be our Grand Marshal, leading us into the stadium to victory. And we're looking forward to that and stuff too. But, yeah, lots and lots of things going on right now. And probably each week here we'll probably be, announcing something new that we're going to be adding. But we're going to try to make this the biggest home opener we've ever done here.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive for you to say the biggest home opener and the March to Victory and the whole weekend.
Yeah.
That at the tailgate, and I know you'll have some announcements coming up with that. Mark, we've talked about this privately as friends, and we'll do it over the radio. In order to turn this stadium around and to black it out and make it to a point where everybody's a Raider fan and we're not worried about 30,000 other fans coming in, I really believe it starts with the Black Hole. I do. I think the Black Hole is the first line of defense to lower the numbers of Kansas City and Denver and all that. And I think more people that become members and wear the gear and wear black and go in there and understand how important it is to flip that stadium, which is still one of the most popular tourist attractions for NFL fans all over the country. That's not going to change this year with Buffalo coming in and big teams coming in like they always do. But I think it starts one fan at a time, and that's why this membership drive and this home opener is so important.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right about that. And, like the black hole has always kind of been, kind of the foundation of the nation there. But there's so many other clubs now that are also just jumping in and helping out. You got TNBC, you got the Wrecking Crew. Both of these clubs held great events this last weekend here in Las Vegas. And that's what we need more of here is more clubs and more fans getting together and putting on quality events, not just during the season, but in the off season, getting more people to lean into our culture because we have something that no other, fan base in any sport on planet Earth has. We have the best fans. We have the best culture. And once people get introduced to it, I mean, they're hooked. You know what I mean? Like we have a great time, as and it's a lot of fun. And it's, there's a lot of people that have met here as friends and have become, lifetime, best friends here. So you know what I mean? It's like, friends become family here. And, it's great to see everybody rolling in there. So I'm seeing more and more of it, but you're absolutely right. It starts with the clubs. It starts with us. And we're happy to do everything that we can to leverage our numbers to make it accessible for every fan to come out and enjoy our team and our stadium.
Awesome. Last one, Thor called in about the Jet game. I'm going to go to that. I get to go back home, see some family and all that. The road trips this year, the home schedule's nuts. I mean, it's nuts. And the road schedule. So if you're just a fan and you want to go on the road with the Black Hole, I'm sure the website, and I have it up, will help people navigate that because a lot of people want to go see the Raiders on the road and the Black Hole is on the ground. What's your vision this year for some road trips and how to bring people together via the Black Hole on the road?
Well, we couldn't be more excited about the away games this year. And like you said, I was there with Thor last year. The Black Hole and a bunch of other clubs got together, had a huge thing out in New England. And I think Thor and I and everybody else, we ended up tailgating for an extra 2 hours after that game in New England in the muddy rain, just because we were so excited about winning. But we're really excited this year. We're in the process right now of talking to a lot of other different clubs. We're trying to everybody rally together, everybody rally our resources. So like Thor said, the guys out in New York, they do such an incredible job out there getting all those tickets and everything, like everybody pitching in, everybody leveraging their resources so we can basically roll deep this year when we go to these away games. So, I would just say check back to theblackhole.com. In the next couple of weeks, we're going to kind of lay out an entire, kind of away game schedule, the things that we're going to, be helping to promote and put on and making sure that everybody has access to that.
Thank you, Mark. I really appreciate this today. I'll see you later on tonight. We'll have fun there tonight at the Max Crosby Foundation Gala. Appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you, JT. We'll see you tonight, and congrats on the new addition to the family. That's
Thank
awesome.
you. Appreciate that very much. There he is. Mark Jones, man, what a job he's doing. I mean, look, if you run a club that big, there's finances, there's insurance, there's websites. There's a lot that goes on here, and there's a lot of people behind Mark Jones. An unbelievable job. But the goal of this group, the Black Hole, is to grow. I've always said that about the Black Hole. When I would sit and have a beer with Rob Rivera, and we would be outside in Oakland at the Black Hole tailgates, and I would sit here, and my vision was his vision. Get everybody signed up for this club. Okay, it's not like, hey, we're cool with the Black Hole. You can't come. You're not allowed to be a part of this. You got to go through some type of initiation. No, the thing is, once you get into the Black Hole and you become a member, you're a member for life, and it's loyalty, and you feel better going into a game knowing you're a part of the Black Hole with the gear, and we need you. I mean, this is a really big priority for me. For over years, I punched the walls and banged the microphone. Come on, man, we got to get fans in the stadium and all that. I am not the ticket police. I'm not running down aisle and aisle and going, oh, my God, you sold your tickets to a Bills fan. How dare you sell your tickets to a Denver fan? I'm done with that. Okay, I tried. I did the best I could. It doesn't work. None of it works. The only way this team is going to flip that stadium to where it's all Raider fans is winning. And I believe, it's going to happen, and I hope it's sooner than later, where we walk into a game against Kansas City, and it's 85% Raider fans because the Raiders have been to the playoffs in the AFC Championship game the last 2 years. That's going to happen under Fernando Mendoza, Brock Bowers, and Genti. I just can't predict it's going to happen this year, but it better happen pretty quickly. Okay? Rookies go to the Super Bowl. Rookies go to the championship game in their second year. People go and win. You don't have to wait. This is not a grueling wait coming up. Now, did you think when Allegiant Stadium opened up and we'd be going into this year 7 and saying, wow, the team's never been worse than at the end of last year? I didn't have that on my bingo card. I didn't expect the Raiders, after all the years of breaking ground, building that stadium on time and on budget. Thank you to the 872. All of that we'd be sitting here going into 2026 as a 3-win team. If you predicted that, then okay, you got it right. It's got to stop. It's got to stop. It's got to be about winning. Forget the opponent, how tough the schedule is. Go win football games. And I think that's what I've been preaching here with the little that I know and getting to know Clint Kubiak. Okay, there's no pomp and circumstance. There's no cheerleading going on now. Everybody's there to work and play and win football games, and everybody's job is required to win. And I think they have the right people in place. It's shocking that Pete Carroll couldn't do it. Shocking. It is. And you look back on that, maybe if you didn't want Pete Carroll and you wanted someone else, I get it. But the choice, it was vetted. It was a big choice to get Pete Carroll. And Pete Carroll came in, 73 years old, his swan song to put this foundation on the road to winning again. It didn't work. So you don't hate Pete Carroll. You respect him. You thank him for coming here with his family. It didn't work. And you wish him well. But now the new coach comes from the Seattle system where Pete Carroll built. He built that system. Pete Carroll built it. Clint Kubiak came in and won a Super Bowl. Their coaching staff has ties to Pete Carroll. And this new head coach has ties to his dad, Gary Kubiak, who won Super Bowl 50. France 3. Norwegian 1. Okay. All right. Norway, 1. 3-1. It's this France team is nuts. I mean, they look like they're just playing a different game, a different sport. It's like a video game. Thanks to the Black Hole. We appreciate them. And thanks to the DeCastroverde Law Group. The Brothers Win. They got 2 big billboards at Allegiant. Brothers Win. BrothersWin.com. If you get into an accident and you need assistance, Alex and Orlando DeCastroverde, built on the legacy of their proud late father, will help you along the way. Brothers Win. BrothersWin.com.
Welcome back to the JT the Brick Show, brought to you by Modelo Especial, the new #1 beer in the U.S.
It's always the case that when a team is struggling the way the Mets are, that the manager is the first to go, and he's probably the least culpable of everybody who has contributed to this morass of a season that the Mets are in. Injuries have played a part. Poor decisions by the front office have played a part. Guys underperforming their expectations have played a part. Mendy was a great communicator. He still is, and he'll get another job somewhere else.
Mets fired their manager. That's Gary Cohen, a Mets broadcaster there. And I've been saying this for 5 weeks. He's a good man. They have a really good manager. Supposedly, they can't win. If you can't win, you fire the coach. There are reports that Lou Piniella at 82 would be someone that they're looking at. I always say Bruce Bochy is the best available manager out there, but that's what happens. Ari, we are excited. Raider Nation Radio brings back the summer of fun. Ari, what do we got going today?
Yes, we'll give you the word of the day shortly. And just a recap on that, you get basically a bunch of different trips we have planned out for each one you can win here with KRLV. And thanks to Terribles for bringing it back here every year. We've done it, I think this is like our 4th time.
Yeah.
Hawaii, Grand Canyon, Sedona, just to name a few. And you can also take the cash if you choose not to take the trip. And today's word of the day is strong. S-T-R-O-N-G. Strong. There you go.
And people just text
it in 702-365-9200.
All right. If you play along, there's a lot of good prizes here in trips, and the cash, as the great Randy Moss once said, straight cash homie. There's a good opportunity to win there. So I'm going to wrap up the stream right here. We're going to do another hour. We got the Phil Villapiano interview coming up with his new book, Just Tackle, Baby, which I've read 2 chapters so far, and it's really good. And I'm probably knock out this book in the next week or 2, so get into some of the details and some of the details of foo. Ooh, there's some behind-the-scenes stories from Phil Phil's one of our all-time greats when it comes to storytelling and a player, and he has his book out. Also, we'll hear a little bit about Paul Gutierrez and Eric Allen in the second half of the show. I'll give you World Cup updates. Continue on, and tonight, if you're going to the Max Crosby event, if you already have tickets for his foundation, I will see you out there a little bit later on tonight. That event starts at 6 o'clock at Allegiant Stadium. I was looking at the weather with Ari. We have a wind advisory in play. Get off the golf course, or at least hit your fade 30 yards out to the left, because the wind will take it back into the fairway. It is crazy windy out there, and we want everybody to be safe. My phone just buzzed, so we got that warning, which I think that's the first time I got a warning for that, at least I did, for wind. So be careful on the road, especially the truckers out there when they come into Vegas and the wind is blowing like this. It could be really dicey out there. 702-365-9200 is the number if you want to get through. Get on in here. One more hour to go. You'll hear my conversation with Phil Villapiano. Coming up here, the Mets have fired their manager. The Vegas Golden Knights have a new head coach. Hockey fans, you're always welcome to call in. And UNLV, there's some excitement here. I just saw John Gruden and Dan Mullen in a picture. They were backstage at Kenny Chesney. I went to Kenny Chesney on Saturday night. I want to thank John Katz-Lamidis. Johnny Katz took me to Kenny Chesney. He gave me a call, said I got one. We went together. We had great seats in the 200 right there, 50-yard line, and was blown away by the videos and the music of Kenny Chesney. Went in there with good expectations, and they delivered. It was really good. It looked like Coach Gruden and Dan Mullen had a hell of a time there last night at that concert. Phil Villapiano next. Thanks to all the bricklayers. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel for free at JT The Brick, and you can follow everything we're doing on this World Cup weekend.
It's the JT The Brick Show.
You just get up every day and you take one step at a time and you keep going and you show up. We have a big mountain to climb, but we're not trying to do it all in one day.
Your silver and black home to sound off for over 25 years.
It's really important to me that we're a gritty team, that the way that they were back in the old days. It's nothing that we say, it's what we do on the field. All the little things that win that have nothing to do with scheme.
And now, here's JT The Brick.
All right, final hour of the week. We'll thank all of our proud partners. And fortunately, we've added some new ones, some really good new ones, which I'll tell you about, which I'm really excited about. And that's cool. We do that at the end of the show on every Friday. Ari's in for Clay. I think Ari's going to be with me next week, too.
Yes, sir.
As guys are off, taking vacations, Q's out, well-deserved. Everybody else, I'll be off Monday. Vinny will be in for me as I head to the World Cup in L.A. at SoFi. And I'm going to jump into this World Cup madness. I think as a sports talk radio host, I should see it. I should know what I'm talking about, so I'm going to go check that out. The atmosphere there in L.A. And tonight's the Max Crosby Foundation Gala. That is over at Allegiant Stadium. Thanks to Mark Davis for providing that venue for Max Crosby. There's going to be a lot of money raised tonight. I'll be with my buddy Chet Buchanan. He'll be handling the auction side of that. NBA Summer League is back to Vegas July 9th through the 19th. At the Thomas and Mack and the Pavilion. So you have an opportunity. They have VIP tickets. They have VIP experiences. There's a lot going on there. And I tell everybody, if you got young kids under the age of 10, say you got a young boy or girl, 7, 8 years old. I used to use that as a babysitter service. I dropped my kids, my sons. I would drop them off at the age of 10 and 8, and I'd give them, $20 each, and I'd say, I'll pick you up tonight at 6 o'clock. Grow up. Come in there, watch basketball, get autographs, and it's great. It's a great place to take the kids, especially this hot. You don't want them doing certain things outside. Just send them down to Summer League and have a great time there. They do an amazing job of letting the players sign autographs with the kids. Really is. If you're into autographs and collections, that's a great place to be. Speaking of autographs, I just got Phil Villapiano's new book, which he autographed for me and sent a nice note. Just Tackle Baby. It is out for pre-orders. We had Phil Villapiano on the show to talk about the book. Here's our conversation. Phil Villapiano with co-author Todd Schmidt, and Fu, who's been on this show maybe 100 times throughout my career, joins us again. Phil, in advance, congratulations on this life venture, the new book. How are you?
JT, thanks for saying that. And I am great. And you talk about an adventure. this book has been a year and a half, and Todd and I started a year and a half ago, and we just finished, and it's work, JT. It is work, and you got to use your brain, and you got to think about all these things and keep it going in the right direction. It's really quite I don't recommend anybody to write a book. It is too hard.
Yeah, I wrote one with the co-author, too, I'm proud of, and it was a life passion. And, what's interesting as we get into your story is what was your goal? Because for years you've been one of the greatest storytellers, and we'll get into NFL films and that chapter in your life. But when you looked at the early years growing up, Bowling Green, before you became an NFL player, what were the early influences in your life, Phil, as a young boy growing up where you knew you had some athletic ability and maybe you can chase a sports dream?
Yeah, JT, that's kind of where it all started. I was in Asbury Park, New Jersey, which is a pretty good town. I mean, rough town, tons and tons of kids. Everybody in the park all the time. Everybody playing different sports. Every season you had to change from baseball to football to basketball. And everybody. I just grew up with so many athletes, and the craziest thing was this: the first time I ever got into a football game was at the boys club, and we actually had coaches, and my coach was my Uncle Neil, and Uncle Neil Raza was his name, good old paisan, and this guy just made me feel like $1 million when I played football, and he saw me hit people, and he goes, well, you're pretty good at this game. And I don't know, maybe it was his encouragement and playing against other guys, and it was organized. That was kind of cool. You had a referee, and so I got hooked on football at the boys club in this crazy town, and it never got old, JT. I just wanted to play football every day.
And how was your skill set at that point with your size and strength and growing into your body as you go to Bowling Green and make a name for yourself before the Raiders? How did you compete with guys who were bigger than you because you built a reputation about being a hard-nosed, tough tackler? The book is Just Tackle, Baby. How did you hang out with the bigger guys and the tough guys as you were trying to make your name?
It's crazy. The bigger they were, the harder I wanted to hit them. I wanted the big guys. I wanted to deal with those guys. I wanted to tackle the best guys. And I had this attitude that nobody's better than me in football. And I remember, oh God, this is crazy though. When I threw a body block, at somebody's legs one time, and the legs went right out from under him, and he hit on his head. And I was just so proud of myself for developing this. I mean, I thought I made up the cross body block in your legs. It was like, this is wonderful. I could make a guy do a flip and land on his head. Well, that's what kind of, if you were bigger than me, come on, let's figure it out. Let's have a fight. Let's play football. Let me tackle you, It was just something inside of my brain that all along I just kept getting better. And by the time I hit the Raiders, I was this person that couldn't get enough. I couldn't, football was the only thing to me. And I remember my mother as a kid, she said, "Oh, you love that game." And I said, "Yeah, I do, Mom." And she goes, "Well, did you know you could do that when you grow up?" And I'm like, what? Oh, yeah, those guys on TV? They get paid. And I'm like, what? This is crazy.
Wow.
I could do this as a job? Yeah.
This is incredible. So let's move on from there because I want to get through all of this in the 20-plus minutes we have left. I want to start with the Raider way in your rookie year. You come out of Bowling Green, you get to the Raiders. What are you thinking, knowing where the Raiders were before you got there? Pops Jim Otto, Freddie Bolitnikoff, by the way, wrote your forward. That's incredible. When you got to the Raiders as a rookie, Al Davis, how big of a task was that for you to make the team, to find a role and become an NFL player?
Yeah, it's amazing, JT. I gotta, I still get this fan mail like every day, and this sometimes people put questions in there, and it said, what made you think that you could play for the Oakland Raiders, and when did you think you could start for the Oakland Raiders? And I said, the day before the very first game was the day I thought I could play for the Oakland Raiders and start for the Oakland Raiders. I never, JT, so what I'm trying to say is I was never satisfied, and because I never thought I was good enough, I guess. And I just had to keep proving myself. And how about this, JT? It was Thanksgiving Day, and the Raiders were playing the Detroit Lions, and we were done at Bowling Green. Our season ended about 2 weeks before then. So I was home, and I couldn't wait to watch the Raiders play, of course. And, because they were like my favorite team because of the black and the way they hit and the reputation and Al Davis and John Madden and all that. And they had the coaches were mic'd up on the sideline. And it was really an experiment. And the opening kickoff, the Raiders kicked. The guys were running down the field, and I'll never forget one of the coaches, get that MFer, and he's screaming, and the coaches were screaming. My mother gets up and said, that team is disgusting, and I'll never forget the thing. You know what hit me? I want to be a Raider. That's all, because they were the nastiest people, and I felt like that was where I belonged. And then, JT, I go to the Senior Bowl game, and I tackled, I get blasted right in the eye on the opening kickoff by this giant guy from, I was the L1, which is the middle guy, going down the field right into the wedge. I was going to hit this guy so hard. He sticks up his elbow right in my eye. So I played the whole game with one eye. And after the game was over, I'll never forget this guy. He had a white-on-white suit with white boots and a gold chain. And I'm coming off the field, and you had to go through this private area. And there he was, Al Davis. And I didn't even know who he was. And he said, great game, Villapiano. Wow. And I only had one eye for the whole game. I'll never forget Dick McPherson was the linebacker coach. We had the Bronco coaches were coaching us. And I get hit on the opening, like I said, the opening kickoff. And I come off to the sideline, and my eyes just huge. And he goes, hey, Phil. And I go, yeah, Coach. He goes, you all right? I said, yeah, I'm fine. He goes, we have no backups.
Stay in the game.
Play the whole game. I loved that game. I would love to have a film of the 1971 Senior Bowl, because that was the start of it all. And then 2 weeks after the game was the draft. And the Raiders picked me up, and my mother said, is that the disgusting team team?" I said,
Oh,
"Yes."
man. That's the team, Mom. That's the team. Phil Villapiano's our guest.
Yeah.
When you come to the Raiders, they are going through a chapter in their young career. The franchise is born in 1960. In the early 70s, a team that's playing in some of the biggest games. They lose Super Bowl II. There's legends there. You end up winning Super Bowl 11. I talked to Freddie B about this. If you go from Super Bowl II, where the Raiders lost to Lombardi, to all of the AFC championship games that you played in with Snake and your teammates to winning, how'd you keep your head up? Was it coaching? Was it Al Davis, Madden, to say, hey, we came up short again. We were better than the team we believe that beat us, and we got to go back to training camp again and do it again. What was that like?
Yeah, JT, that was the real challenge, and that's where our coaches and owners came in handy. I mean, the guys, there was a good reason, I think, that we got beat every year, and even the Immaculate Reception. I mean, the flukiest play ever, and it's still considered the nuttiest play in pro football. Anyway, so you get beat, and you get pissed, and you can't wait to go back. The next year, you're playing the Dolphins, and they're undefeated, and you get beat in the championship game. And, you kind of make reasons. But I think the biggest and with the greatest job of any coach is when you lose that many championship games, that John Madden could keep us motivated. And I'll never forget, and it's in the book. Every one of these stories is going to be in the book, JT. But John comes to training camp after we get beat by the Steelers in '75. And, that was like the third time in a row for the Steelers. And he goes, guys, we are going to, his whole thing was simplifying our offense and our defense and just kick ass. No more kick ass. And it was the greatest John Madden speech because, we all were kind of wondering, Freddie was there longer than me. Kenny was there longer than me. What's John going to say to make us want it again and go out and get it?
The motivation.
He simplified it, JT. But listen to this. We go and we lose like 3 defensive linemen in the first preseason game. And now we got we don't even have any defensive linemen. He's got to go out and find some people. But Don Shinnick puts in the 3-4 because we had good linebackers. So all of a sudden we switched from the 4-3 to the 3-4, and John made it. Yeah, you guys can do it. And I'll never forget, he made it into this big challenge that only we could do. So he kind of made it fun on a tough situation, and I'll be damned if we didn't play good, too.
Phil Villapiano is our guest. Phil Villapiano, the book is Just Tackle Baby, Living Life the Raiders Way. I want to get to your tackle in the Super Bowl. Minnesota's going in. You end up winning big. Do you consider that because your tackles against O.J. Simpson and, twisting his neck and his helmet popping off, your biggest tackles in biggest games, is that the biggest tackle of your life in the Super Bowl, considering it led to the momentum that built the victory?
It really, I have to say that, and every time somebody asks me the biggest play in my career, I have to say the goal line tackle and in the Super Bowl. But JT, the reason I made that tackle was because we had great Don Shinnick, great coach, Monty Johnson, great middle linebacker. We all were trained to think on our feet really well. And when I saw Monty was facing into the end zone, and I always stood on the end, and I always kept my eye on the bench the visitors' bench to see who was coming in. I saw in comes their tackles and out goes their wide receivers. I said, matzo ball, and I said, jumbo, and he turned around and he saw the guys coming in. He goes, jumbo pitch. Well, they only had 2 plays. The quarterback sneak and McClanahan up the middle. That's all they ran. We studied that. I knew it. So I got down on Ranieri and I said, you ain't going to touch me. And soon I was right in front of him, right off the ball. And there was McClanahan getting the ball. I stuck my face right in there. The ball came out. Willie Hall recovered it. It was such a beautiful play. And I'd have to say the beauty of the play was the hit, which was good, but it was the studying, and then we knew what they were going to do. And when you know what somebody's going to do, and you're a pro player, you know, you can cause some havoc.
Yes, and the way you explain that relates to everyone in regards to film prep, studying, understanding what you could do if you're prepared. Very similar to what Clint Kubiak's trying to teach here now. Phil, with about 6 or 7 minutes left, I want to do a little rapid fire here with you, get a few in. When did you gravitate to the media? You win the Super Bowl. You're a guy who can stand in front of microphones. You had the Buffalo career, which is great, and people will dive into that in the book. But when did NFL Films find you and go, oh, my God, this guy's a treasure trove of information from the 70s, and then they just keep you on board, and you're sitting there and you're doing all these appearances with NFL Films. How did that come about?
Yeah, well, I kind of think it was Al Davis, and I think it was NFL Films showing up in Cleveland for the very first the Raiders' very first Monday night game, and somebody mentioned it. I think it was Al, that they were going to start showing films or shooting films of the games, and we were really getting to be stars at the time. And anyway, so I make all these tackles that night in Cleveland. I went crazy, and Howard Cosell was the guy that discovered Villapiano from Bowling Green, and because I was making all these tackles, and then he says it. NFL Films picks it up. In the off season, they called me, Lazy Boy was giving out chairs to the defensive player of the game. By the time I got done, I had about 8 chairs in my house, all Lazy Boys, all free, which was a wonderful thing. But anyway, it just after that Cleveland Monday night game, NFL Films started liking me, and then they called me down to Cherry Hill, which is in New Jersey, right close. About an hour from my house, and they brought me down there, and I remember going down there with a tie and jacket on way back when, and then one thing led to another, and then they called me, and one of my best, JT, if we got one more minute, was during COVID when they called me up and they said, Phil, we're thinking about doing a little something. Can we come to your house? Because I guess you couldn't go in the office. So anyway, they come to my house, and the Raiders had just gone to Vegas, and they said to me, "Hey Phil, no." I said to them, "Well, what are we going to talk about today?" Because they never told me anything. And they said, "We'll talk about you." And I said, "We're not going to talk about the Raiders going to Vegas? No, we're going to talk about you." And then, JT, we did it, and they got so many compliments. It was called Raider Royalty, if anybody wants to check it out on YouTube or something. Raider Royalty became big, and then Todd Schmidt, who's been there forever, is my buddy, and he calls me up and says, "Phil, would you ever think about doing a book?" And I said, "Todd, not really. I'm still working, but I'm thinking about retiring in January. Why don't we talk about it then?" So in January, he called me up, and then we decided to do it. and I'm really happy we did it. But JT, it was work, as you know. You did it, so it's work, but it's fun work. I'm glad I couldn't believe just 2 weeks ago, somehow or another, my daughter gets notified that the book is done by somebody, and all of a sudden it went crazy. So all these pre-orders are coming in. It's a lot of fun. Just Tackle, baby. I had to put Al Davis in there because he was my buddy, use his language a little bit. And I just hope everybody likes it.
They're going to love it.
I think they will.
Phil, I will send everybody to Amazon, all the major book outlets to buy the book, Just Tackle, baby. Living Life the Raiders Way. Every summer I do a summer series with the Raiders before training camp, and I try to get everybody on, and I wanted you to be first. I'm going to be interviewing maybe 8 or 10 former teammates of yours or alumni who came after you about their greatest moments as a Raider. I'm happy you went first because you got so many, you wrote a book about it. I just couldn't talk about one thing with you. So, hey, congratulations. I know you're going to be on the road with this. Every Raider fan should buy this book for 2 reasons. You learn more about this passionate fan base, but secondly, it connects with you on your life. And I think your life, we've been friends for a long time. You've been great to me and my family. Your story is one of the greatest stories I've ever seen in the history of the Raiders and the NFL. I'm proud to call you a friend, and I'll do anything for you whenever you need me.
Well, thank you, JT. You always have, and you keep the excitement, even though we've had all these ugly years. But, JT, you kept the faith, and now we got a coach, and now we got a quarterback, and who knows? We even got a running back last year that nobody even knows about. I can't wait, and we got defensive players. Oh, I can't wait for this season. I can't wait to come out there for Alumni Weekend and take a look at these monsters.
Thank you, Phil. I'll talk to you soon. You're the best. Have a great rest of the summer.
JT, thank you very much. It's been beautiful.
That was beautiful. Phil Villapiano, Just Tackle, baby. Go buy his book. When you write a book, you need people to buy it. And that would help Phil a lot. And we all love Phil Villapiano. Fantastic. Love him. Go buy the book. Go to Amazon. Get the pre-order. It's coming out now, and everybody should have a copy, especially if you have a Raider man cave. If you have a Raider man cave, you want to go in and take a look at that book and put it up there. All right, more. I'll give you World Cup updates. France 3. Norway 1. A lot of these games no one cares about because both of these teams are advancing. So France is going to win their group, and it doesn't look like Norway has to worry. They'll advance too, but they got to finish out this game. Busy Friday here. Max Crosby Gala later on tonight. We're brought to you by Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers. How great's that for lunch today? Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers, one love.
Welcome back to the JT the Brick Show. Brought to you by M Resort Spa and Casino, the official hotel of the Las Vegas Raiders.
It's great because you already just know just coming into it. Like, it don't matter how the thing goes, whatever goes. Like, you could be you. And that's what you always want from a coach. Like, I don't need no roller coaster. I don't need none of that. Like, nah, you just be you. Like, everything else will happen. But as long as you stay calm, as long as you stay neutral, everything else good.
We're back on Raider Nation Radio here on this hot Friday. Ari is here. He's been in all week. I want to thank Ari. I also want to thank Tommy White from the 872 Laborers. Man, are they busy building this city on time and on budget. The 872 Laborers, once again, proud partners of our show. So last night I was over at the George at Durango for USA Soccer, and nice to be in that environment last night. A lot of soccer heads, a lot of soccer fans watching that game, and then that late goal that USA Soccer lost to Turkey. Not the end of the world. They are through, and now we get to the knockout round. So I'm leaving tomorrow. I'll be in L.A. at SoFi to see Canada, South Africa play on Sunday. Not the ideal matchup that I thought I would get, but I'm actually looking forward to it. I think the South African fans have been nothing but just over the top. If you've ever been to the rugby events here in town when there's international rugby and the South Africans come to Vegas, it's just one big party. And our Canadian brothers to the north, we welcome them. They're going to be there in full force, so that should be a lot of fun too. So Looking forward to a nice weekend in Los Angeles, some World Cup, and I'll come back here. Vinny is in for me on Monday as I travel back, and then we have full week of shows next week and a couple of unique interviews with some Raider legends that I've been setting up over the last couple of weeks. The Mets fired their manager, Carlos Mendoza, this morning after a 34-47 start. That had to happen. Quick thing on this guy. This is one of the most respected and nicest guys in baseball. He's known for just being an amazing guy. From all the players that he coached, minor leagues. I got a buddy who works for Rawlings. He's got a big job with Rawlings, and he's good friends with them. And he told me he was one of the best people he've ever met in baseball. But the Mets had to make that change because they are floundering. Managers get fired. I grew up in an environment as a young boy in New York where that was part of my DNA. The Yankees and George Steinbrenner firing Billy Martin multiple times. So when I grew up as a young boy, as a Yankee fan, I was used to the manager always getting fired. So that's been with me my whole life. It hasn't been patience. It hasn't been, well, we'll wait till next year, give him another chance. No. I come from an area where managers got fired often, and when they don't get fired, you have to question why. Lately, here in Vegas, we've gone through a lot of head coaches. Now we have Clint Kubiak, who gets a fresh start, and hopefully he's the Raider coach from here to eternity, as long as he wants, as long as he keeps winning, and I hope he wins. I'll see Coach Kubiak tonight. He'll be on hand at the Max Crosby Foundation Gala. That's over at Allegiant Stadium. I'll be the MC for that, along with Mark Davis, the president, Sandra Douglas Morgan. Raider players will be there and coaches. And I just wanted to spend a few minutes talking about Max and what Max Crosby is able to do in this community. You know, a lot of people see individuals who have these foundations and they say, well, they got a foundation. What are they going to do with it? What are they going to do with their money? How do they spend their foundation money? Because a lot of money is going to be raised tonight. And when money is raised, people want to know where it goes. Well, trust me, Max Crosby's got 4 groups tonight. And I'm not going to bring it up here exactly because it's for tonight, and a couple of them are going to be surprises. But I got my script rundown, everything from pet rescue to high schools. And Max and Rachel Crosby are going to be donating to several groups, $25,000 checks tonight. And Max is a 3-time Walter Payton Man of the Year nominee. And I'm hoping he gets that award coming up here. That would be the best ultimate achievement for Max. He's got the Pro Bowls. He's got all the individual accomplishments you can have, but he needs to define his legacy in the Super Bowl. Max Crosby needs to play on Super Bowl Sunday, and hopefully that will happen here with the Raiders. We all know that Max was traded to Baltimore. That deal fell apart, and Max came back. Obviously took the high road. I think the Raiders handled that exceptionally well, especially John Spytek, with the support that he had from Max. I mean, a lot of players are not coming back into the building, everybody. That's the elephant in the room. A lot of players are not coming back into the building after they're traded and a trade falls apart. Normally, the team that has to take the player back, which gets screwed over, takes the player back after they try to trade him again and again and again. And they take a lesser deal, and that wasn't the case with Max. I think once the deal fell apart with Baltimore, and he came back in the building, everybody already knew about Max's work ethic. I mean, his work ethic is insane. And now cooler heads prevailed. And that's a topic. I'm not saying there's a chance that Max can't get traded. All right, we've been down that road before. There's always a chance. There's always a deal out there. There are teams. There were rumors this week in the Bay Area about Max going to the 49ers, which were unfounded. As of today, and a couple of radio stations, shows up there asked me to come on. I said, no, I'm not coming on. And one's a really good friend of mine. I said, no, I'm not coming on on KNBR or 95.7 The Game talking about Max Crosby being a 49er. Wrong guy. And if it happens, you can have me and I'll talk about it, but it's not going to happen. And now there's all this talk about Joey Bosa potentially still available. No one seems to be biting. You know, this week we talked about some of the wide receivers who are still available, from Brandon Ayuk to Stephon Diggs, Tyreek Hill, Deebo Samuel. There's a lot of good football players. Bosa, Keenan Allen. I mean, look, the Chargers have never won a Super Bowl. And if you look at Bosa and Keenan Allen, Those are two of their best players over the last 5 years, and they're not even getting a sniff as of now. So with all these deals out there, we're going to see what's going to happen here coming up here shortly, because we're going to get into camp. Normally, a lot of trades don't happen this time of year. You might see a contract or a franchise tag go through. For all those who ask me what's going on with Fernando Mendoza's contract, it's fine. It's done. It's just the language. It's the language on when they're going to pay him his bonus. Does he get it on this day or another day? I don't get involved with players' money. I've said that to you from day one. I don't care if it's Josh Jacobs, Max Crosby, Fernando Mendoza, a head coach. When people are negotiating their contracts, I take a step back, and when they get their contract, we celebrate it, we get them on the air, and we congratulate them. So I don't think there's any concern at all about Mendoza and the language of his contract, but this will be the highest rookie contract ever under the new CBA with the rookie, I guess, cap on what you can make at that position. But overall, Fernando Mendoza now sets the bar for quarterbacks going forward, and he should. Another big topic I want to get to, because everybody's asking me earlier in the chat and others, what I thought about this Caitlin Clark situation as she is getting beat up and pushed around. Look, Mark Davis owns the Aces. They've won 3 out of the last 4 championships. They are the world champs here. And I tread lightly. I don't do a lot of Aces. I don't talk a lot about it. When they win, I tell you about it. When they have a championship, I celebrate it like everybody in Vegas. Congratulations. There's a lot of people in the Aces organization I know from the Raiders organization who kind of do both or were with the Raiders and are over there now. I wish them nothing but success. But when it comes to this Caitlin Clark story, what's happening now is the rest of the league, in my opinion, the rest of the league is pushing her around because they want to get famous for pushing her around. And you get on SportsCenter if you give her an elbow. You get on SportsCenter if you're out there and you're doing something. It gets you on television. And, man, I watch the NBA all the time, and she gets hammered more than any NBA player, and she's in the WNBA. Injuries now, she has a back injury. Why wouldn't she? She was on the ground. She's got a fist through a throat. I mean, it's crazy. She was limited to 13 games last season. She was limited to 13 games last season. She is not the best player in the WNBA, okay? We have the best player in Vegas here in the WNBA. Okay, Asia's the best player. It's not Caitlin Clark, but I just saw today that she's averaging 21.2 points through 17 games this season, 8.2 assists and 4 rebounds per game. So she's going to sit out her game against the Sparks due to a back issue here. And I think the league's got a really big decision on what they're going to do going forward in regards to how they're going to protect her. Does she need special treatment? Does she need help? Yeah, she kind of does. Because it's getting to the point now where if you don't stop this and control the players for coming after her, then we're going to sit around and say they're going to continue to do it again. So the Mercury have a player in Alicia Thomas. She got a flagrant foul, two penalty, and a 1-game suspension for recklessly making contact to the throat area of Caitlin Clark. The WNBA announced that yesterday. And the league said about that foul, she committed a non-basketball act. Well, I've seen about 10 non-basketball acts when it comes to Caitlin Clark. She drove the lane, she stumbled on the side, and after making contact with the defender, Thomas and another player, DeWanna Bonner, collapsed onto Clark and then scrambled for the ball as they tried to recover it. Thomas appeared to thrust her fist into Clark's neck. No, it didn't appear that. She did that. And now she gets the suspension here. So for everybody who says she's the golden goose, yeah, no, the Aces are the best team. We're the golden goose out here. We're 3-time out here in Vegas. I'm not on the team, but we, Las Vegas, are a 3-time WNBA champion. We are the team that everybody talks about. No one's talking about these other teams in the WNBA other than Caitlin Clark and the Las Vegas Aces. But I think that sport's got a problem on their hands now. They got to figure out how they're going to protect the player. And I'll tell you, the only comparison I can make to this is Wayne Gretzky. When Wayne Gretzky was playing hockey, and I watched all those years when he came into the league, they would come after Wayne Gretzky. And that's back in the day when goons were allowed and you had enforcers. And they would come after Wayne Gretzky. And a guy by the name of Marty McSorley, if you remember the name, used to protect Wayne Gretzky. And if anybody came after Gretzky, they put Marty McSorley on the ice, and he was ready to fight and ready to go after him. Well, that's not going to happen in the WNBA, but I think Caitlin Clark's teammates have to do a better job protecting her. So I wanted to get that in here on a Friday as we continue on. And then the other big story that we've discussed all week is this Brandon Sorsby, who will not be in the supplemental NFL draft because the NFL draft's not going to have a supplemental draft. So he will not play football in college. He won't play in college, and he won't have a chance to play in the NFL. A couple of people said, well, why doesn't he sign as a free agent? Doesn't work that way. The NFL has rules. If you're going to come into the league, you're going to come in via the draft or the supplemental draft. And you don't have to be drafted. You can be an undrafted free agent, but you have to go through the NFL process. And the NFL shut the door on this guy. The lesson to be learned. My son had a couple of buddies over the other night, and they were watching World Cup, and they were talking about it, and I was listening in the kitchen, and they were all kind of debating back and forth, a bunch of 22-year-old kids, about this. And all of the kids in my house and in my living room are allowed to legally gamble at the age of 21. And I asked them, which one of you guys have a gambling app? And one out of the three said he does. So I asked him, I go, what do you do? He goes, not much. He goes, I bet a parlay here or there. And I had to go sit down with him and explain to him why parlays don't work, especially at the age of 22. And there's a lot of young kids out there who are gambling now and have no idea what they're doing. So a big quarterback who's probably a first-round pick in the NFL is going to pay the ultimate price. The ultimate price, and he's going to lose out on multi-millions of dollars. Hopefully, he'll be able to secure that money a year from now when he comes through the draft. And if he trains properly and he runs a good 40 and he has a pro day, which he'll have, everybody looking for a quarterback, because next year's quarterback class is going to be great. There should be 5 quarterbacks taken in the first round next year, and I expect Sorsby to be one of the 5. And a lot of teams are waiting for their quarterbacks until next year. The 2 biggest ones are the Arizona Cardinals, as they're a mess right now with Jacoby Brissett. And then Geno Smith is under investigation, has not been charged, under investigation for a domestic issue with the woman who's had his recent kid. And Geno's one and done with the Jets. Even if Geno plays well, the Jets are going to get a quarterback there. But the lesson to be learned for these young guys who are in their 20s, and I'm sure a few young girls, but mostly guys, is bet responsibly, and most kids don't. Most kids do not bet responsibly because a lot of them don't have a job or enough money at their job to be chasing games and gambling in their 20s. Look, if you're a rich kid and a trust fund kid and you got the money, do what you want to do. But most kids I know, my son's age, are working, grinding, or trying to find a job in this brutal job environment here. I don't think all of these commercials and ads on television to try to hook these kids at the age of 21 to open up all these gaming apps is going to help. Because if you look around and you put your ear to the pavement, a lot of these kids can't find jobs. And if they are finding jobs, they're lucky to have them. And they shouldn't have a side hustle trying to bet parlays and trying to bet WNBA games or NASCAR or World Cup or whatever it is. Again, nice job last night by the Durango. They're not a partner of ours. We have a lot of partners. They might be a partner with some of the things we're doing here overall at the station, but they threw a nice watch party last night and a really good time. We were at Bel Air, wrapped up the night at Bel Air. That's one of the lounges that we're working with Click Hospitality. They have several lounges, including 8 Cigar Lounge, led by Giuseppe Bravo, who will be on hand tonight for the Max Crosby Foundation, and I'll be welcoming him as the premier sponsor tonight, 8 Cigar Lounge over at Resorts World. So we're excited to say that. When we come back, I'll wrap it up with our proud partners. I wanted you to hear Phil Villapiano. I wanted you to hear the show today, little live radio on a summer day. Allegiant Stadium tonight for the Max Crosby Foundation. Then the World Cup this weekend in Los Angeles. Going to be a pretty busy couple of days here. If you miss any portion of the show, please go find it in podcast form at lvsportsnetwork.com.
Welcome back to the JT the Brick Show, brought to you by the DeCasta Verde Law Group. If you get injured in an accident, call 702-222 9999.
The reason why I'm so excited about the secondary, because they were ball hawks in college, whether they were intercepting or just running routes for receivers. But, how they're going to play, what pieces are going to fit in, what type of system are they going to play in when you have a Jeremiah Chin and having Eric Sosa and those guys. I want to see if McCoy can play on this level. If he's as good as people touted him to be in college, see him take that progression.
The great Lincoln Kennedy. I haven't talked to Lincoln in a while, man. I know he's doing work with Q, and he's a busy dad and son playing football and college and all that. The great Lincoln Kennedy, what I'm going to be doing the rest of the summer is interviewing legends on their greatest personal moment. So what was their moment that they look back on? And a couple have agreed to come on with me. Lincoln will be one. Kirk Morrison, Marcus Allen. I reached out to Rod Woodson, who said he'd like to. Everybody who's able to do it. Steve Wisniewski. So what I'll be doing is I'll be sprinkling that in over training camp. So when we're doing training camp shows, I'll be reaching out to some of those legends to just tell stories in the summer, and then the schedule hits, and the schedule is tight. It's Sunday. If you saw my Sunday schedule, which I'm blessed to have, Sunday it starts off pregame. Then it ends with the postgame. Then I do 3 hours of Mad Dog Sports Radio till 11 at night. Rinse and repeat. It is going to be nuts on Sunday, and we only play on Sunday. We don't play on Thursday or Monday. We're the Raiders. RaiderNation. We get a Monday game. We get a Thursday game. We get Sunday. No, they didn't give us anything. If that doesn't motivate that bleeping locker room, that their peers and friends around the league are playing 7 or 8. Devontae Adams playing in 8 national games. He left this team. Unceremoniously, he left. Okay, he won it out. And look at him. He's rewarded with these games. That should infuriate that locker room that they want to play on Monday Night Football. And I hope that is something that motivates them, because Clint Kubiak coached a lot of games last year in primetime with the Seahawks, and they played in the Super Bowl. And he's running the show now, and I think he's going to get us back there. Thanks to the Black Hole, Mark Jones joined us earlier today. Become a member. We love him. Boyd Gaming, always bet on black. 10 local casinos. Modelo, it's a Modelo Friday, bucket of Modelos this weekend. I will have a few Modelos on the beach in Los Angeles. The DeCastroverde Law Group, thanks to Alex in Orlando. DeCastroverde. Finley Volvo Cars of Las Vegas. I'm going to see Mike, and I'm going to be going out to the dealership next week, and I'm going to be test driving a new vehicle thanks to Finley Volvo. M Resort now has 2 towers. 2 is better than 1. All of their concerts coming back. Michael E. Minden, my personal jeweler, is back with us. How about that? Michael E. Minden's back. So if you're looking for jewelry, go to the Fashion Show Mall. Easy to find. Michael E. Minden is always there. Raisin Cane's Chicken Fingers. This week we welcomed Aspen Vodka, the official vodka of the Raiders and the New York Yankees, along with Fletcher Azul Tequila, as they jump on board with us. And they are proud partners of our show. Flowing Tides, the great tavern group, starts with us coming up here in a couple of weeks, along with the 872 Laborers, led by Tommy White, building this city on time and on budget, and a few more cool groups coming back with us. We're just waiting for the ink to dry as we get going with that and kick off our football coverage. Thank you, Ari. Appreciate it.
My pleasure.
My pleasure working with you. Ari's fantastic. He's double and triple dipping around here, doing a lot, and that's important because we need people working, and they're working hard. I will be at Max Crosby's event tonight, and I'll be with Max and Rachel, and I'll tell that story. Vinny's in for me on Monday as I go to the World Cup, and we'll be back and hopefully have some good stories to tell you about there. Have a great rest of the day with the wind advisory out there. Be careful on the roads. Thank you for listening. All of our platforms are open for you to subscribe for free. JT the Brick on X, on YouTube, JT the Brick LV on the Insta. All places to find more content. Have a great weekend, everybody.